Hi there, Gaz Reynolds at Radio Harrow Studios on the Gary Walker Breakfast Show. So here's Gary.
Yeah, here's Gary. I'm Gary, and I do the breakfast show. See all the pretty buttons and everything I get to push.
Very nice.
At the wrong time.
So tune in to Radio Harrow, and don't forget to check out Gary Walker's Breakfast Show. You can check out me as well online.
Right, and the sports show tomorrow afternoon at 2.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So there it is, Bananarama in cool summer here on Radio Harrow. So my guest with me is Gaz Reynolds. Gaz, tell us now, what are you up to these days?
Oh, well, actually, I've got a little story about Bananarama. I used to hang out with Bananarama, and that was years ago. They're now a duo, and they are still going. They've had some quite good albums out as well, pretty good ones. Sorry about that. It was a bit early in the morning. I got a frog in my throat. And I had some sad news this week. You might have seen on the news, an old pal of mine, Pete Burns, passed away. You might remember You Spin Me Round Like a Record. I used to hang out with Pete quite a lot up until about 2 years ago, where we had a little falling out. Long story, but I won't go into that now. The exciting news really is Electric Kama Sutra. After the last time I appeared on your show, the Electric Kama Sutra went to number 1 in the Australian dance charts, but it also charted in the top 20 in the Philippines. So, and I only just found out about that a couple of days ago, so I was pretty excited about that. And that record's actually available on iTunes.
Okay, and why don't we play it. Here it is, Electric Kama Sutra, Gaz Reynolds on Radio Harrow.
Free your mind, your body and soul. Electric Kama Sutra, electric. Electric Kama Sutra, electric. Electric Kama Sutra, electric. Electric Kama Sutra, electric. When light and heaven is all I want from you, I'm gonna make your dreams come true. I want everything you have. I'm gonna get you on your back. Electric Kama Sutra, electric.
And there it is, Electric Kama Sutra here on Radio Harrow, hoping that sort of get you out of bed, bouncing around a bit for your Friday morning, a bit of a chilly start to the morning. So, Gaz, I understand you're going to be a TV star.
Well, yeah, it was interesting because a couple of weeks ago I got this phone call, and it was from Big Review TV, which is an Australian TV network, and I'm going to be doing two separate interviews, one on the 25th of November, which is all about my driving school, Great Drive, which is pretty unusual for a driving school, because as you know, I'm a fully qualified driving instructor as well. So to be featured on TV shows is sort of quite unusual, and very good publicity for my school. So that's going to be filmed on the 25th of November. I'm not sure when it's airing though, so everyone that's interested should just hop onto my Facebook page, because there'll be lots of news on there. And then on the 30th of November, Big Review TV are coming back to do another interview with me, all about my record label, World Domination Records, and my music career. So so that'll be pretty exciting as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's well, overwhelming really, and I seem to have a lot of connections with Australia at the moment. So that's interesting. But they're actually shooting it here, and it will be aired. These two shows will be aired all around the world, and they will be featured on the Big Review TV website for 2 years, because I've signed a 2-year contract with them.
And here you've got all these connections with Australia, but you don't know the answer to our who is it. Turning 59 today, the Prime Minister of Australia.
Whoops.
Maybe you text some of your Australian friends who are listening. Say, please help me out with the answer to that one. Okay, we're going to be back with more of Gaz Reynolds here on Radio Harrow. I'm going to figure out how to speak, because news, travel, and weather, they are coming up. It is coming up on 7:30. News, travel, and weather are next, followed by a sports update later on by Joe Townsend. We'll find out what's happening in the borough. And the answer to our who is it, it's all right here on Radio Harrow.
This is Breakfast.
Radio Harrow.
I like it. Radio Harrow, KC, the Sunshine Band. That's the way I like it. How do you like it, Gaz?
Well, I think I was saying to you off air, Gary, that I've got two connections with that song, which is my pal Pete Burns, who passed away recently. He actually did a great cover version of that, which I think went into the UK charts at number 12 many moons ago. And also, I used to be on, well, actually, I'm technically still on the label, on a record label called Reality Entertainment in the US, and Casey and the Sunshine Band were actually signed to that label, and they actually did a new version of that particular track when my record, Some Forgive, was released.
Right. And speaking of Some Forgive, that's coming up next.
Oh, goody.
Do you want to tell us a bit about Some Forgive?
Yeah, well, we've played it a few times before, but it seems to be one of those songs that sort of stays with me forever. So we've done various versions of it as well, and the most recent was for the 10th anniversary of the original releasing of Some Forgive, and All Music Guide actually compared the original version to a Trevor Horn production. They sort of basically said it was a massive hit. Well, it certainly went on to attract a lot of attention for me, knocking Madonna off the world chart, and I went to number 1 for 4 weeks. This was a few years back. So what we did is last year we re-released it, and my old pal Somiak, who lives in Peru, he's an excellent producer. He's got loads of releases under his belt, and he remixed it, and we ended up with a number 1 hit out in Australia. So I was rather pleased about that.
Right, and possibly the answer to our who is it this morning might have even heard it.
Sorry?
Possibly the answer to our who is it this morning might have even heard it. The president, the Prime Minister of Australia.
Might have done.
Might have, yeah. Turning 59 today. We will have the answer to that one coming up in just a tick. Right now, here is Some Forgive on Radio Harrow. There it is, Some Forgive. Gaz Reynolds here on Radio Harrow, and Gaz is it's actually here on Radio Harrow. So now, when did that first come out?
Well, the original version, which was remixed by Matt Stedford, who went on to, he's a good friend of mine, went on to invent some very cool software, which even Coldplay have actually used, and they've done a review on YouTube of his software. He's a very, very clever producer. So originally it was released 10 years ago, and then last year Somiak and I, a very good friend of mine who lives in Peru, excellent producer, an artist in his own right, he's actually on my record label, World Domination Records. He remixed the track, which is the version you've just heard, and that went straight in at #1 in Australia. So so it's actually been a #1 twice that I know of, but it might have charted in other countries that I'm not aware of, because obviously I can't be everywhere all the time, and not everything gets published on Google.
I thought you were everywhere. You can't be.
I tried to be everywhere, but it's the miracle of the internet, really.
Yeah, indeed, it is Radio Harrow. So time to put this one to bed. And congratulations, I did have a couple right answers. Ben got it right, and so did Fred. Turning 59 today, the Prime Minister of Australia is Tony Abbott.
Yes, I remember now.
Yes, Tony Abbott.
I do remember now.
Yep.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, well, especially because I said
He was pretty
it doesn't
popular.
count.
He was pretty popular.
Yeah, he is a good Prime Minister. I was surprised, though. He was born in England.
He was. He had some family over here as well, but he was English, and then I can't remember when he emigrated there, but I remember my ex-Australian girlfriend from years ago always going on about Tony Abbott.
Yeah. So it's sort of like Barack Obama, who everybody claims wasn't American, and became the president of America. So
that's right.
A non-Australian became the Prime Minister of Australia.
Interesting.
Yeah. Of course, we all know Donald is saying no. He was a liar. He was never born in. Because I don't think Donald realizes that Hawaii is part of the USA.
Yeah, well, have you ever been to Hawaii? Because I've been there twice.
Sadly, no, I've not.
Absolutely beautiful. It just feels like a completely different country. That's the only way I can describe it. So you're aware that you're in America. I went with there on 2 occasions. The first time with my first ex-wife, and then, sorry, actually, I went there second time with my first ex-wife, and the first time I went there was with my friend Kevin, or Kev, as he's known. Hopefully he's tuned in or he'll hear this at some point. So hello, Kev. Yeah, beautiful place.
So let's talk about driving for a moment, because you have your Great driving school.
Yes.
And now I as you know, I need to take driving lessons because my American license expired, and I couldn't use it here anyway.
We need to get you in the car ASAP.
Yep. But one of the things I don't understand is, do I have to first get a provisional license or something?
You'll have to get your provisional license, and all the rules are actually changing. That was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today. We've got a new UK driving test coming in. I've mentioned it on the previous show before, but we didn't know exactly when it was coming in, and there's still no confirmed dates, but it will be filtering through in 2017, and it's very, very different from the current driving test. The test is actually going to last an hour, as I understand it, whereas the current driving test is 38 to 40 minutes long. The current manoeuvres or manoeuvre that you'll be required to do, that's actually going out of the window, and they're bringing in some new ones. There's also talk of a section where you'll have to drive on a motorway, which currently is illegal to do. So you can't drive on a motorway for learner drivers at the moment. You can drive on dual carriageways, but the plan is to bring in motorways. And the independent driving phase, which currently is around about 10 minutes, they're actually talking about doubling the time. And this will also be using a sat-nav rather than the examiner actually giving instructions such as, I'd like you to follow signs to Eastcote, for example, or driving or follow the signs for Harrow, whatever. So there's a lot of changes coming. It's going to be much stricter.
Now, how does one go about getting this provisional license? Do you have to go in, or can you do this online?
No, you can do it online, and you just, I think you fill out a form online, or you can go to your post office and get the form, and then just post it out with your fee and they're pretty good at processing licenses. So they say 28 days, but it's usually within 7 to 10 days. I find that licenses have been processed and posted back. So yeah, that's what you'll need to do. You'll need to go through the whole process of getting a provisional license, and then you can take lessons.
How does age fit into? Obviously, I know there are lower limits. Does the UK have any upper limits on driving?
No, you just have to prove that you're mentally and physically fit, and the age groups that we have coming through my driving school, to be quite honest with you, are all different age groups. In fact, we're seeing a lot more older people now. When I say older, sort of mid-30s upwards. The eldest person that I actually taught was 78. I felt she was a bit probably too old to learn to drive, just because she found the actual learning process quite tricky. But yeah, we're seeing more sort of middle-aged people upwards. And this is probably something to do with more and more people needing to drive for jobs because they have to travel further out. That's what we think at the school.
Right. Of course, for me, the only place I have to use the car to get to is here, and then
drive yourself here. Have a driving lesson and drive yourself here.
Yeah, I could do that, but then I'd have to also pay to park, and by the time I'm
that's
done,
not going to be cheap.
Yeah, but by the time I'm done, I'm cheaper to use the car service that I use, who provides the car. The driver drops me off and comes and picks me up again, opens the door, and makes me feel very important.
Of course, if you did have your driving lessons on the way to here to the station, the new, I think you said you'd seen the pictures of the new Great Drive cars. They've actually got the Harrow Radio Harrow logo on now as well, so it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it would look like my official car was taking
Looks like your
taking me.
car.
Yeah, but the only problem is you would have to be there. Well, I guess if we were doing it as a driving lessons and getting here, then you'd have to pick me up at like 5:45 in the morning.
Well, I had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning. Mind you, I'm usually up pretty early, but 5 o'clock this morning, I felt as if I was probably pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, I was awake at 4:30ish, sort of half awake, and saying any second the alarm's going to ring. Any second the alarm's going to ring. And I didn't want to move and actually look to see what time it was, but I just knew any second. And then eventually it actually came true. The alarm. But at 4:45. So, yeah.
Lovely.
Love getting up early in the morning. Gaz Reynolds is here in the studio. Gaz, are you running off, or are you going to be around for a bit?
No,
more?
I'll be around for a while. I just wanted to say, whilst we're talking about the driving lessons, etc., as I said, my driving school is actually being featured on an Australian TV network, which is actually going to be broadcast around the world, and the show is actually being filmed in the UK. So we're filming that on the 25th of November on Big Review TV. So that's going to be really good publicity for the school. The Radio Harrow logo will be featured because I'll be driving my car.
Well, that would be something to certainly look for, and we are hoping for that. In the meantime, I've got the 1975. We're going to settle down a bit, and we've got news, travel, weather, everything all coming up in just a tick. Do keep it right here. This is Breakfast on Radio Harrow. Breakfast Brainbuster. Now, you struggled a bit on our Who Is It this morning, Gaz. Let me see if you can do a bit better on our Brainbuster. A survey says 88% of couples say doing this household activity, remember, families show household activity, together at least once a week can improve communication, and improve the relationship. The question is what?
Well, I think it might either be housework, e.g. cleaning, or it might be shopping, doing the shopping together, or it could be a walk or cycling.
Okay, it could be any of those four things. So you've got four answers. I'll read the question again. According
it's
to
better to have four answers rather than one, just so then you're covering more chance of actually winning.
Yep.
What do I win?
You don't win anything.
Oh.
You win the pride, the honor, the joy. But according to a new survey, 88% of couples say doing this household activity together at least once a week can improve communication and improve the relationship. What? And you guessed cycling, walking, the household cleaning,
Yeah.
and shopping.
Yeah.
Shopping, I love that answer, but sadly, all 4 of those are wrong. That's
Oh,
her.
well, hang on a minute. No, you didn't let me finish. That was 4 of the beginning out of 10 that I was planning to
Get 10.
use.
Well, let's see if our listeners have a shot at this as well. 0208-869-3959. That is the phone number that you can call. You could text us at 88802. Start your message with 123 Harrow. And don't forget your standard network rate will apply. Email studio@radioharrow.org or tweet us at Radio Harrow. And don't forget that hashtag RHBreakfast. Either way, I'll get it. But love to hear from you. Right now, the Commodores.
No, it's out. Cause I'm easy.
Commodores Lionel Richie here on Radio Harrow, and easy, not sleazy. There have been times that people have said you're sleazy. I think they made a mistake with that one. I've got Gaz Reynolds here in the studio with me this morning. Gaz, any plans for new music coming out soon?
Yes, new album coming next year. I'm not going to reveal too much about it at the moment, but it is a sort of progress of the sort of music that you've been playing on the show of my style. So it's a development on from there. So it will be dance orientated, but there will be some experimental tracks on there as well. But I've been working on it about 2 years now. So every time I think it's just about to be ready, then I feel, this needs to be tweaked and that needs to be added, that type of thing.
Okay, well, we'll certainly be looking forward to that.
Keep an eye on the World Domination Records website, and you can also visit my official website, which is www.gazworld.com, or just type in Gaz Reynolds on Google.
Yeah. And if you want to follow Gaz on Twitter, it's new WDR.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yep, at new WDR. And I have been tweeting out. You might even look at my Twitter tweets. I have tweeted out a few things this morning that included Gaz's Twitter handle. So you could find it there. That, of course, is at Gary Walker Radio, which is my Twitter. And then the Radio Harrow people, I believe, have been so kind as to have retweeted them. Someplace the magical wizards of Radio Harrow sit with their little mini computer thing, and every time there's a tweet, they say, "Oh, I'll retweet that." And
actually, the guys at What's On in Harrow as well, which I believe is an online Harrow-based magazine, they often retweet our tweets as well. So thanks very much for those guys. And Eric de Fontenay, who's he actually owns MI2N, and often retweets as well some of my stories. I also want to say, if it's possible, quick.
For the star, does the star go with the courts? No. Who do you think the star went with?
Haven't got a clue.
Ed Balls.
Oh.
Have you been watching Ed Balls?
No, I haven't, but I've been hearing lots of things on LBC about him.
Yeah, Ed Balls strictly. Oh, you said a bad word. There is there is no other radio station.
Sorry.
There is this L thing is they're off the air now. They can't compete. They've gone.
I should have said another radio station. I shouldn't have said that.
Anyway, Ed Balls strictly sexting shock. Show fave hot with Foxtrot with Laura, TV babe Laura. I watched. I mean, he's so horrible, and how he's. I feel badly for the stars that are really trying. And, I don't know. And then they've got Nigel Farage and a posh folk in Brexit betrayal. Nigel is not a happy man. There's I know that we shouldn't mention that there's another medium as well called television. You may have heard of it.
I have.
And there was a show on the government-owned television network. Has a couple channels. This one was on the second channel. BBC2.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say that either.
No, I shouldn't say that. Called Nigel Farage Gets His Life Back. It was hysterical. Poor Nigel.
But he's standing in for as UKIP leader at the moment anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily like Nigel for his his politics, but as a person, I mean, he just was
He's
a character, right?
interesting. Yeah,
an
he's very, very
character.
interesting.
But then he went and supported that uninteresting person in America. And,
Yes. With the bad wig.
Yeah. And seeing him standing next to the orange pumpkin with a wig. and
he denies it's a wig.
Yeah.
Maybe you should put the pumpkin on his head.
Well, his color, it looks like he's a pumpkin anyway. So that one really, really, really was bad. Anyway, there we have it, the papers here on Radio Harrow. It is 8:23 on your Friday morning. And, of course, we've got a weekend coming ahead. In just a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can spend all your weekend, right? Well, how you can spend your Friday and up to the weekend. Fireworks, of course, tomorrow. And I'll have details on that as well coming up in just a few minutes. Are you a big fan of fireworks?
I don't like them at all.
I especially don't like them because I get up very early in the morning, and people that tend to shoot off fireworks tend to shoot them off late at night.
Yes, they do.
And it's very hard to sleep when people are shooting off fireworks under your window.
And I tend to find that then in the morning, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
the rockets and everything, they're laying about all over the place.
I have to admit, I give the people at my flat complex that I live in, for the first time they did have because of Diwali, they had a bit of a Diwali fireworks party, which did annoy me in terms of the fact that I was trying to sleep and I couldn't. But I was very surprised that they did clean up very nicely after themselves. And there was no sign of it anywhere the next morning. So that I will thank them for.
Basically, we have fireworks for the next few weeks because, in fact, I tend to find that they still keep going all the way up until Christmas and then the New Year.
New Year, yeah. So it is interesting to watch. Two places I've watched fireworks from that I found interesting. One is a year ago during Diwali, I was in this hospital, but which I'm in every day. But I was here as a patient, so I was up on the wards and like the 6th or 7th floor. I don't know what floor I was on, and had a view of Wembley and could see all the fireworks going off around Wembley, and that was sort of pretty. And then one time I was leaving. Was I leaving? I guess I was leaving the UK, going back to Tanzania in the evening on either the 5th or on Diwali, and when you're in an airplane and flying over London area with all of the fireworks all over the place, it's quite an amazing sight. It really is. We've got to play a song, and then we've got news coming up at the bottom of the hour. So let's play the song. Here is Pixie Lot and Lay Me Down on Radio Harrow. And it's done. Pixie Lot, Lay Me Down. And Pixie was in last year's Strictly. Speaking of things Strictly, you know, it's funny. When I first moved here, I used to really cringe every time the women in my office would start to prattle on about Strictly. Now I love it. I become British and I become old. What can I say?
No, I used to watch the show quite a lot, but I don't feel it's the same without Bruce Forsyth.
Actually, I think for me, because I was never a big Bruce Forsyth fan, I think it's why I now enjoy it.
Oh.
And of course, the Bake Off's done now as well. As far as I mean, it will be on in
Channel 4 or something.
Yeah, 2018, but it won't be the same. It won't be Bake Off. Anyway, this is Radio Harrow. Now you've got to head on out, Gaz?
I'm going to head off now. I'm pressing matters elsewhere, but thanks very much for having me on the show. And it's been wonderful seeing you again. And if it's okay, just to quickly plug my website, is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
You can, if you're interested in the driving school, it's www.gr8Drive.com. So it's Great Drive Driving School. And if you want to check out me and my musical ventures and World Domination Records, you can go to www.worlddominationrecords.com, and also my official website, which is www.gazworld.com. There's also lots of stories and things on Google if you just type in Gaz Reynolds.
Okay. Gaz Reynolds, everyone. Thank you very much. This is Radio Harrow, and we have news, travel, and weather coming up next, as well as a look at what's happening in Harrow and what's happening on Radio Harrow for the rest of the day and into the weekend. Answer to our Brain Buster and some music, all coming up.
This is Breakfast.